Hey guys, welcome back to yet another video, and today is slightly different. As you can tell from the setup, we aren't actually in my home studio, we are now actually in our actual office studio. So a little bit of a change up from not the usual, I would say. Now I'm recording both using a lav mic and actually trying out this Razer Mini right here. So gonna see which one is better, but in any case, enough about the studio setup. You're probably more interested in what's behind me. This is a desktop PC that's probably the most expensive that I've ever had my hands on. This PC right behind me cost a whopping $17,000. 17k. Let that sink in for a minute. Yeah, 17,000. Okay, to be fair, it's in Singapore dollars. So to translate that roughly to US dollars, it would be about 13k, which is still a lot of money, no less. And it's even got a name. This is the Cleopatra from Kingdom Technologies here in Singapore, and it's part of their top-of-the-line Kings/Queens series of custom desktops. Needless to say, it does look the part, but what do you actually get with that amount of money? To start off and set the record, Kingdom Technologies is in a partnership with Asus for quite a number of their their custom desktop PCs, and this is one of them. So you're going to be hearing quite a lot of mentions of Asus with this build, and as I can already tell, this PC itself, the case, is already from Asus. This is the Asus Strix Helios White Edition, and it's a full ATX tower enclosure with a really striking and bold design. You get brushed metallic panels for most of the frame, full-size tempered glass side panels on both sides, a full glass front panel with RGB aesthetics, and even heavy-duty straps on the top, which breaks up the look while acting as handles. What I do definitely appreciate, however, are the use of magnetic fan filters for both the top and bottom. They slide out really easily without any hassle, and because it's magnetic, they slip back on securely. The side panels also feature a toolless quick-release latch design, which makes it really easy to remove as well. We'll also find a good amount of front I/O with 4 standard USB 3 ports and a Type-C port. Overall, it's a great full ATX tower design that allows you to fit quite a number of parts while also being relatively easy to maintain should you need to. Speaking of which, there is quite a lot of radiator and fan support here. You can fit up to a 420 or 360mm radiator at the front, up to a 360mm or 280mm radiator on the top, and up to a 140mm radiator at the back. So now let's talk about the parts that this PC comes equipped with and whether it may or may not justify that 17k sticker price. For a start, we have the best of the best when it comes to the CPU. We have the latest Intel Core i9-12900K, a 16 cores, 24 threads behemoth of a CPU that's the best Intel has ever come up by far. This is mated to arguably a really overkill motherboard, but hey, if you've already got the latest 12th gen Core i9, why not go for the best motherboard out there as well, right? So here we have the ROG Maximus Z690 Extreme Glacial. This is an eATX motherboard, and the most prominent feature is that it comes integrated with a full motherboard water cooling block from EKWB, a very well-known and established company when it comes to custom water cooling parts. The choice to go with EKWB doesn't stop just there, as the GPU is also yet a collaboration between Asus and EKWB. This here is the Asus EKWB GeForce RTX 3090, and not only is the RTX 3090 the fastest gaming graphics card around the block at the moment, this might just be the most beautiful one as well. Kingdom has also chosen to go with the vertical mount in a Strix Helios case, which really does make it stand out even further. You also get 32GB of DDR5 RAM running at 5200MHz. This here specifically are the Corsair Dominator Platinums. Underneath that motherboard block, you also find triple Seagate 4TB fire-cooled 530 NVMe M.2 PCIe 4.0 SSD with insane read and write speeds. And the whole rig is powered by the ROG Tor 1000W Platinum 2 ATX power supply, which you can get a glimpse at via the cutout in the PSU shroud. It even tells you the power draw, which is pretty neat. Now as for cooling, you can probably already see for yourself. It's a full custom hardline look utilizing mainly Asus and EK parts. A single 38mm Take 360 radiator with triple 120mm fans, while the back has a single 120mm. Interestingly enough, Kingdom has decided to orient all the fans within the case as exhaust, and has decided not to use intake fans at the front. Instead, you'll find a full-length pump reservoir unit that just looks really beautiful. But while it does make the build look really amazing, there are some drawbacks which I'll touch upon later. To top everything off, you get addressable RGB light strips all around which can be configured via Asus Armoury Crate software. But now, you probably want to know what kind of performance this PC can dish out, so let's get straight into it. First up, the Core i9-12900K is really a beast of a CPU unlike any before it. 8 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. Throughout the Cinebench R23 benchmark, the CPU drew a constant 240 watts on average while maintaining 4.9 GHz on all the 8 performance cores and 3.7 GHz on all 8 efficiency cores. The results speak for themselves. This is by far the fastest Intel Core i9 CPU yet. In DaVinci Resolve, this thing just slays. It could render our 10-minute test project out in 4K in just about 5 minutes, and if you drop that down to 1080p, it could do it in just about 3 minutes. As for gaming, we tested on 2 main resolutions, 1080p and 4K, naturally at the maximum possible settings. Performance is pretty much downright insane. At 1080p, you can expect upwards of 500 frames per second in games like CSGO or Valorant, but even AAA titles like Halo Infinite or Cyberpunk 2077 will be buttery smooth, with frame rates in the triple digits. If you're a fan of ray tracing, you'll be glad to know that you can enjoy the nice lighting and shadows without sacrificing much in performance, no less thanks to the RTX 3090 and DLSS 2.0. But perhaps 4K is where this system really shines, and it shows. Even with everything maxed out, you'll still be able to comfortably play well above 60 frames per second in the most demanding of titles such as Cyberpunk 2077, and should you wish to do so, you can even game competitively in games like CSGO or Valorant with little to no issues at 4K. Now, when it comes to ray tracing, performance definitely takes a hit at 4K even with DLSS 2.0 set to balanced, but still amazing nonetheless, and you can get even more performance just by dropping the settings to high. All in all, it's a beast of a gaming machine. Talking about temperatures, it's pretty great, especially if you're just gaming. You can expect temperatures to hover around 80 degrees Celsius for the CPU and roughly the mid 60s to low 70s for the GPU. The fans don't really spin up too high either. But here's where this system falls a little short, and it's on the creative workloads. As mentioned in Cinebench, the Core i9 is able to sustain almost 240 watts on the power draw, and maintain 4.9 GHz on the performance cores and 3.7 GHz on the efficiency cores. But it does so at a constant temperature of about 93 to 95 degrees Celsius, which isn't that fantastic considering the hardware. So this leads me into talking about things that I think could have been improved with this Cleopatra PC. First of which is that reservoir up front. Now, it looks really good, and I do think that the build looks really stunning with that reservoir. But honestly speaking, in terms of performance and temperatures, I would have very much preferred a 360 red up front. It would have made a huge difference. Currently, there's just a single 38mm thick 360 red up top with just one set of fans in a push configuration. Had this system been equipped with a Core i7 and RTX 3080, perhaps that would have been adequate. But with a Core i9 and RTX 3090, that seems to be the bare minimum here. On that note, I'm also a little perplexed that Kingdom decided to go with this fan orientation. Every fan in the system right now, 3 on the top and 1 at the back, are exhaust fans. While this might be beneficial in terms of cooling with the current setup, it also means it negates the purpose of the fan filters due to negative air pressure. Again, had there been a 360 red up front, the fans could have been oriented as front intake to create a more balanced or positive air pressure, and overall should reduce system temps quite a fair bit. In addition, the front dust filter would then actually be useful, which is neat. The next thing that I felt was a little bit of a letdown was the hardline piping. Now, from a distance, it looks great, but if you actually take a look up close, it's not that fantastic. You can clearly tell that some of the pipes aren't that straight and just feel a little off. Now, I understand I might be nitpicking a little, but for 17,000 Singapore dollars or roughly 13k US dollars, I don't think that's too much to ask for. They could also do better with the sleeve wires and use a cable comb to make them look more aesthetically pleasing. Now on to my last gripe, which can be viewed differently depending on where you're coming from, but honestly, in actual fact, a third of that sticker price comes from just the SSDs alone. Each 4TB FireCuda 530 SSD costs about 1400 Singapore dollars. There's 3 in this system, which makes it roughly 4200 Singapore dollars on just SSDs alone. Had Kingdom decided to just go with a single 4TB, it would have brought the price down without really sacrificing much. After all, I dare say that not many of you would use more than 4TB of high-speed storage. But despite all that, I have to say that the Cleopatra PC is one heck of a gaming desktop. It's really got everything you need, be it performance, looks, expandability, and much more. If you're looking to get a custom built PC like this right off the box, zero fuss, this is it. Of course, you'll be paying a slight premium for such a service, but you probably already knew that. Personally, I'm definitely more of a build it myself kind of guy. I like to choose my own parts, tinker around, this and that. But it does take time, so I can definitely appreciate having something like this right out of the box. Again, I do find some choice of parts and the layout to be a little questionable, but overall, it's still a really well put together custom desktop. And I honestly wish I could keep it. But oh well, it's gotta return. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section down below. If you'd like to support us, do check out the affiliate links in the description as well. If you do, thanks for the support. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Till the next one. See ya!